Of all the insane things that Christians basically say, of all the things that goes against common sense, there's something wrong with the whole thing.
Human beings sin. We try, but still we make mistakes. So, how can we avoid the fires of hell if we can't stop sinning?
Get over this, dear. Say sorry.
What else before that?
You have to confess your sins, then you say you're sorry. He knows.
When you misbehave, Teddy, when you sass your parents or laugh in church, you're like the cruel Jews and evil soldiers who taunted Jesus when he was on the cross. Now, Jesus never complains, of course. He can take it. But Jesus' father, you know who that is, Teddy?
God.
Very good.
He doesn't like it when we sin. It makes him very angry. And when God is angry, where does he think about sending us?
We need to wrap this up, Ed.
This is our last meeting before his first confession.
It's important to set a good example.
I'm pretty confident that between the three of us, we can save his soul. I'll be in the car.
You are now 7 years old. Thus, you have attained the age of reason, meaning you know the difference between right and wrong. After age 7, God doesn't just watch over us, does he? What else does he do?
He judges us.
He judges us.
And the thing is, many people actually believe that stupid shit. Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. I'm going to be frank with you. I actually grew up listening to that kind of philosophy or whatever you want to call it. And even though a part of me believed it because that's what I was taught, and just like any other person, they're all taught that way. That has nothing to do with ethics. And there was this nagging intuition, this other part of me that was saying, it doesn't make sense, or how come God doesn't do this? How come this and that? And I was asking all these questions, and I was also contradicting a little bit. But as far as questions, contradicting questions. And I wasn't allowed to even say that. And if I did, they would give me a stupid answer and then say, you shouldn't question God. I mean, it's not only is that fucking stupid and insane or whatever you want to call it. What's more very insane is that a lot of people buy into that without question. And it makes sense how some people are actually becoming more atheist or agnostic, as a many year slide, going from a believer, and after 10, 15, 20 years or so, a very long slide into becoming or being pulled away very slowly and drawing their attention more towards the more logical sense and reason, ethics and philosophy and science, and why that makes more sense. This is something that really baffles me. They're just way too insane, idiotic teachings. When you sass your parents, when you do this, you do that, you're getting God angry. And God will punish you. And this is one thing that I noticed from Angela Zambrano, that Hispanic woman who's known to be a very popular preacher. She comes up with the same insane type of teaching. Don't be disobedient to your parents. Don't misbehave. Don't sass them. Don't do this. Don't do that. Having all this authority over them to keep them in check. You're not molding a person to becoming into a very well productive, good person. You're not molding them into that. You're molding them into a fucking drone. That's what you're molding that person into, that child. You're molding that child into becoming like a robot. And it's very idiotic and and I think very dangerous for the most part. It's very dangerous. It worries me. And if this continues to get even stronger or worse, I think it's going to border on ultimate tyranny. It's going to border on that. And this is just basically, to me, is common sense. The best way, if you really want your child to be a well-productive, righteous person with ethics and this and that, then be philosophical with them. Don't talk about God. Just say, don't, instead of saying don't do this, just say, you really shouldn't do this. Instead, you should do that because, and then you start explaining the outcome of what will happen if you make that wrong decision. It's like saying you shouldn't talk back to your mom. She may be a little strict with you, but you really shouldn't say it like that. I mean, try to have some respect. But then if that child is actually being sassy, not because they're bad children, but because of the fact that that child could be going through some kind of frustration. That child could be bullied in school, and then he just explodes. He doesn't know how to fight back. And then if their parents were to get angry with him for something he did, he explodes and becomes very rude to them. He doesn't mean to do it, or that child doesn't mean to do it. It's just that he has issues. It doesn't take that much effort just to speak with your child and say, what's wrong? You got to have that child to trust you. They have to trust you. And then they'll open up and tell you what their problems are. But to be a stern authority figure after what that child has been through, you don't know what's going on. It could be any number of things. Not every child who talks back to their parents, who sasses their parents, who misbehaves are doing it for the sake of just misbehaving and just being mean. They're not doing it for that. It could be for any number of reasons. You have to know your child. And a lot of these strict Christian parents, they're like, they have no real parent skills. All they know is how to be strict, that traditional, fundamental, that bullshit Christian fundamentalist type of thinking. It's very damaging. But they don't see it as being damaging because it's a mental programming, and they're very weak-minded. They're very narrow-minded, and then they pass on that stupidity onto their kids, trying to feed them that. And then if their kids show any signs of doubt or contradiction, you'll get them angry. And, I mean, the ones that are very strict and, like real strict Christian fundamentalists, it's something that people need to realize how damaging and dangerous that is. That's just basically how it is. And what I like about that part, which you just saw, in which from Boardwalk Empire, when Nucky Thompson was like rolling his eyes and then he sighed. He was like, "Can we wrap this up?" Because he knew that priest was actually getting too overzealous and that he was full of shit, basically, on certain things that he was saying. He was more down, Nucky Thompson was more down to earth. He was more logical. And when that child was misbehaved, he was playing with matches only because of the fact that, not because he wanted to be a bad kid. He was just either fascinated, or maybe his classmates probably talked him into it, or whatever the case. They don't come at him with a psychologist kind of a point of view or approach. Actually, it was just all this strict. You did something wrong, you sinned, you did something bad, you should be punished. How the fuck is that going to help? How the hell is that going to help? All you're doing is damaging that child. And what I like about Nucky Thompson, what he did was, when he just went into his room to talk to him, and the child thought it was going to get spanked, so that he was taking off, pulling down his pants, getting ready to pull down his pants, and Nucky Thompson was like, "What are you doing?" And he looks at him and says, "I'm waiting for the belt." And he's like, "I'm not gonna beat you." It was like, I want to talk to you. I mean, and to talk your problems about what's going on, the way it should be. Instead of those strict parents of just saying you did bad, and then they get spanked and says you better not do that again, without even. And if you do ask them why did you do it, and they get all scared, like, I don't know, or they just like. I've seen that so many fucking times when I was growing up. By certain parents that are so strict, and it pisses me off. It really fucking pisses me off. And that's just one of the reasons why I became an agnostic. One of the reasons. I already told you the main reason why already, as to why I don't believe in God, why I criticize religion like crazy. It's because of different reasons, but this is just one of them. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up by saying sense and reason is more important than strict fundamental values of what is considered to be right or wrong from the Bible's point of view. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And this is Dare to Speak. And to all of you, take care.